In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
I think there's so much stuff here. Where do you start?
Yes. Where do you start? Donald Trump has officially announced that he is going to seek the Republican nomination for president in 2024. And I'm going to break down this garbage. So I'm going to show you a clip from the speech, including when Fox News cut away. I'm also going to show you some reactions from Fox and give you a reason as to why there is some confusion going on right now in conservative media around how to feel about this announcement. So first up here, let me just quickly play this clip of the actual announcement, and we will go from there.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Okay, and then they just, cheer on forever. So this is at Mar-a-Lago, of course. Of course, you got, a big room full of his supporters. But what's funny about this is people were trying to leave. These are his supporters. So Olivia Rubin here from ABC, a crowd has formed by the exit of the ballroom as some tried to leave Trump's announcement speech before he has finished, but security won't let them. So in order to keep up the appearance that he has this big crowd there, they were not letting anyone leave. You can see here, people trying to shuffle out. And they're not being let through. So people gathering around the exits there. This guy saying, cut it. Can't get out there. Incredible. These are his supporters, and some are trying to leave because, of course, Trump went on and on and on. I don't know how long the speech was, but it went on forever, and the typical Trump fashion. Now, look, he was a little more subdued in this speech. Clearly, there was an intention here to try and maybe attempt to rekindle what made him popular in 2016 by trying to focus more on issues. But if you know anything about Trump, it's all complete bullshit. It's completely empty. And in fact, I'm going to do a separate video on a fantastic video, shockingly fantastic video that Democrats, or I think Joe Biden, the White House, put out about Donald Trump. And it is just, there's nothing there. All they did while Trump was in power was pass tax cuts for the rich and then tried to repeal healthcare. So this, this claim that somehow he transformed the country, saved America, just does not bear out in the actual facts. But here is when Fox News cuts away from the speech because, again, he just droned on forever.
Remember I sent to Angela? Remember Angela? Do you remember Angela? Nobody's remembering her now. Angela Merkel.
Just joining us, President Trump in Mar-a-Lago announcing his 2024 presidential run.
So he starts droning on about Angela Merkel for some reason, and then even Sean Hannity's like, "All right, let's move on from this." But so Hannity's show, I'm not going to show you the clips because defending Trump is typically what you see on Fox. But they did go on to, he had guests on there that were complimenting the speech and were not criticizing him. That is a little different though compared to some other programming on Fox, as I'll get to. But the big indication here is how they're treating it today, at least how the main page is treating it today. This is foxnews.com. GOP mega donors want to move on from three-time loser Trump. Look to back DeSantis in 2024 presidential bid. This kind of, insult here is typically reserved for a Democratic politician in a Fox News headline. But here, three-time loser Trump is in a Fox headline showing you the direction that at least some of Fox is trying to go in. And I'll get to exactly why that is in a second here. But also a big indication about how even people around him maybe aren't taking this as seriously. Ivanka says she doesn't plan to get involved in politics this time around. So as Trump was announcing, she put this out saying, "I love my father very much. This time around, I am choosing to prioritize my young children and the private life we are creating as a family. I do not plan to be involved in politics. While I will always love and support my father, going forward, I will do so outside the political arena. I am grateful to have had the honor of serving the American people, and I will always be proud of many of our administration's accomplishments. So, her husband, Jared Kushner, was there at the announcement, so I don't think he feels the same. But Ivanka does not want to be a part of the clown show this time around. And going on the Fox News YouTube page here, you would expect, Trump there, the dear leader, he announced again he's running. You'd expect, a wall of Trump coverage here, but there isn't really. So there is Ivanka saying she's not going to be part of the administration. That clip is up here. It's a bunch of other stuff. Mike Pence saying America will have better choices than Trump. So already in the first three options here, you have two criticisms of Donald Trump. Not much else here on Trump. You have to go down to Hannity with his analysis, and that's where he has on Mike Huckabee and others to compliment this speech. But apart from that one video, there isn't much here defending Trump, and then just the actual announcement. So it's kind of bizarre that their big leader here announcing his run, and there isn't much on the actual Fox News YouTube page about it. So last week I covered a lot of the clips from Fox criticizing Trump after his midterm, or after defeats that the GOP had in the midterms, thanks, at least in part, to Trump and his crazy candidates that he endorsed. So you can go back, if you didn't catch that video, go watch that video. You'll see a lot of those criticisms. But a lot of that continued. So this is Maria Bartiromo, who, as the recount writes here, by far one of Trump's biggest TV cheerleaders, hosts a panel this morning that shits on the Trump presidential announcement and seems to endorse a couple Republican governors. So check this out.
That's the thing that people keep pushing back on. They don't want to go into a whole nother storm of hate, and there is Trump derangement syndrome.
Right. There's definitely and I think he started even that last night. He started with the China virus. He started with, poking names at DeSantis. We've heard that, and people are tired of it. Look, I also think that, DeSantis and Youngkin, like you said, are really the future of the party, right? They're in a generation that I think needs to come forward. And as much as, his policies were good, Trump's policies were good in the first term, I don't think the majority of the country really wants to go back there. I'll tell you, I live in Florida. Florida's fully behind DeSantis, no matter what Trump wants to tell you. They're fully behind DeSantis.
It's interesting, Ivanka Trump yesterday says she's bowing out of politics just after her father's announcement.
Right.
So there you go. A panel criticizing Trump's run here. Now, I will say this individual from Florida, he's a little biased. Florida, of course, loves DeSantis, and yes, there is other polling showing DeSantis has some popularity outside that state. But if DeSantis actually runs against Trump, I don't think he has a shot. There was a point where I thought that he would have a shot because of how polling looked. But when you see those two together, DeSantis just does not have the charisma that Donald Trump has. So I talked a bit about this in my discussion with Matt Binder last night, where I was on his podcast. We discussed the midterms and Trump's announcement. The reason why Trump continues to maintain the support base that he has within the party is because he is essentially a right-wing comedian. He's a entertaining celebrity, and he's able to continue this support because of his performances. DeSantis simply does not have that. So I would be, I'm beginning to think DeSantis at this point won't even bother running against Trump because he figures he's young. Why bother putting myself out there and potentially losing just to hurt my career in the future? So I think he'll make the calculation that it won't be a good time for him to do this. But, depending how media continues, if they continue attacking Trump, if there is this onslaught and his numbers really decline, then maybe DeSantis sees an opening there. But, that remains to be seen. More criticisms here. So this is interesting. Here, Stuart Varney is faced off with Lara Trump. So Lara Trump, I think we could all figure out what side she'll be on in this discussion here. But this is very, very interesting to see Varney, who's been a defender of Trump, come out here just flatly criticize him.
So I'm sure you're very supportive of your father-in-law, but those of us on the outside looking at it, it didn't seem that he got the old magic. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I highly disagree with that. Look, for Donald Trump, from the very beginning, from the first day he came down the escalator in 2015, in Trump Tower. It's never been about elected officials, politicians, people, in the swamp in D.C. It's been about the American people. And if you look around the room last night, you had people from all different walks of life.
Okay. It's too much bullshit there to even. It's always been about Trump and his ego and his enemies. Like that's what Trump has been about for his entire life, including when he was president. And the people in the room, give me a break. It was we saw the clip earlier. It was very clear these are well-off individuals. That's why they're at Mar-a-Lago to begin with. So yeah, all walks of life, my ass. But going on here, this is my favorite reaction maybe because Steve Doocy here is just so confused. He doesn't really know how to even start the conversation about this.
I think there's so much stuff here. Where do you start? It's 721 days before November 5th, 2024. So
he really does not want to have this conversation. Doocy, for a while now, has pushed back on the other panelists when they defend Trump. He has been slowly trying to, push up DeSantis and push down Trump a little bit. So he's in this place where I have no doubt in my mind that Doocy does not like Trump and does not want to see him run again. But he's trying to walk this fine line where his viewers still love Trump, so he doesn't want to go too hard. But it puts him in this place where he doesn't really know how to even address the situation. Now they do go on to have on a guest who does defend Trump here or support his run with these comments.
But I got to tell you what, I thought that speech last night was incredible, guys. It was focused. It was disciplined. The tone was serious because we're in a serious moment in world affairs and in our country right now. And I think if the president stays forward looking, outlaying how he's going to build on his agenda and his accomplishments, I think he's going to have a very good run.
So I just want to give credit here as well to Aaron Rupart because, again, a lot of these clips are not on Fox, their official site, or on YouTube. So you have to either capture them at the time or be, a Fox News subscriber and go back and watch the clips on, if you're a paid subscriber. So it's interesting to see how Fox News is really downplaying this news by only putting out certain videos publicly about him. And you have to catch a lot of this stuff live to even see it in terms of the defenses of Trump. But here is where we get to why there is this sort of confusion right now in conservative media about Donald Trump. And that is because of this man right here, Rupert Murdoch. So Murdoch, apparently, according to reports, tells Trump he will not back fresh White House bid. Media mogul turns to the future, Ron DeSantis, after ex-president's poor showing in midterm elections. So just these 3 paragraphs here. Murdoch has reportedly warned Trump his media empire will not back any attempt to return to the White House as former supporters turn to the youthful Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. After the Republican Party's disappointing performance in the U.S. midterm elections, in particular the poor showing by candidates backed by Trump, Murdoch's right-wing media empire appears to be seeking a clean break from the former president's damaged reputation and perceived waning political power. Last week, Murdoch's influential media empire, including right-leaning Fox News, has his flagship paper, The Wall Street Journal, and New York Post, each rounded on Trump, calling him a loser and a flop responsible for dragging the Republicans into one political fiasco after another. So in addition to Fox News, of course, here's New York Post cover about that, how Donald Trump sabotaged the Republican midterms. So here's the Post paper on the 10th. Don, who couldn't build a wall, had a great fall. Can all the GOP's men put the party back together again? So a clear directive here from the top about shifting away from Donald Trump. But you still have people on Fox like Sean Hannity who just love Trump, who are right now pushing back against that directive. So we're going to see how long that continues, if he's going to continue pushing back and continue supporting Trump. But there is definitely a clear directive here to have a clean break from Donald Trump. Another example here is National Review, a conservative paper, today saying no to Trump. Weird though, because as excuse me, as Heath points out here, here's how this went down last time. National Review. So this is back in, of course, in I believe 2016 and 2020. National Review against Trump. Here they are. That is back in 2016. And here we go, 2018. a year of achievement, a case for the Trump presidency. So they went from hating him to, again, backing him. It's going to be the same thing this time. This is what conservative media has done since Trump got serious about politics, is they criticize him until he wins the nomination, and all their readers, all their viewers love him. Then they have to shift their tone, because if they want to continue selling magazines or selling ad revenue, or having ad revenue, selling people on their media garbage, they're going to have to back Trump, and that's what they all end up doing eventually. That said, I think this is a great analysis here from The Nation. Donald Trump knows how to win the Republican presidential nomination. The defeated former president is running again in 2024, and despite what some pundits say, he's the favorite to win the GOP nomination. I think this is not even debatable. The base is still with him. He has the charisma. He has the energy. He has the entertainment value that the right eats up. I think it's clear that if he's serious about this and he continues, then yes, he will win the nomination, unless, something crazy happens that somehow puts him out of it. But I just don't see how you can debate this. The base is still with him. So we will see how that continues. But this is amazing. So this is you may have seen this already. This is an old video now at this point, but it's comparing DeSantis and Trump. And look at how DeSantis is clearly mimicking how Trump speaks, because DeSantis doesn't have any charisma, any ability of his own, so he has to try and copy Trump and what he does. But check out this quick clip here and how similar these mannerisms are.
Anybody here would do it.
Project to get
Judges are a priority.
And honestly, we have businesses that have been locked down and lives destroyed for over a year based on saying no COVID vaccine passports are made in China and shipped here. Why would we want so many important things
Can we take them?
to us be at the whim of China?
Anybody here?
All right. So there you go. DeSantis is just discount Donald Trump. Yes, he's Trump without the baggage. I would argue DeSantis is definitely more, I would say definitely more, but I think he is a little more dangerous, because he, I think, is able to work in a way that Trump doesn't. Trump is too brash, too outlandish, where the media can't help but focus on the garbage Trump is saying, because it is so clear, it is so grotesque, so out there. Whereas DeSantis, I think he could accomplish what Trump would accomplish anyways, but do it in a more subdued, quiet fashion, where it's a little tougher, or not tougher, but where the media is definitely a little less willing to criticize him the way that they would for Trump, acknowledging the issues. But last thing here, this is how the media treats this announcement. So comparing NPR here to CNN, and NPR doing a good job with the context here. Donald Trump, who tried to overthrow the results of the 2020 presidential election and inspired a deadly riot at the Capitol in a desperate attempt to keep himself in power, has filed to run for president again in 2024. This gives you historical context. This gives you, an accurate overview of what is happening with this announcement. Compare that to CNN. Just in, Donald Trump announces another run for the White House and enters the 2024 race, aiming to become only the second U.S. president ever elected to 2 non-consecutive terms. So the framing there, not at all critical. And when it comes to what the media is supposed to do, they're supposed to represent the interests of the people and give you all the facts. Now, it's possible, of course, CNN has criticized Trump in the past, have gone over, his attempts to steal the election. But in framing this announcement more as a almost entertainment piece compared to what it actually is, I think it does a disservice to readers. But whatever, we're going to see what happens now. This is just, what world are we living in where this this clown is running again and will likely win the nomination if things, go smoothly for him. And I think they will, as the base is still with him. I don't know. But one thing that I do think is worth watching is how conservative media is going to react to this going forward. Are they going to continue to keep up their attacks on Donald Trump, their criticisms of him while trying to prop up DeSantis? Or are they going to, once again, fall back in line behind Trump once it becomes even more clear that the base is still with him? I guess we're going to have to wait and see.